Right now, at your company, there is someone doing your exact job who has quietly figured out how to do it in half the time using AI. Not because they're smarter, not because they work harder, because they built 6 specific habits that you haven't built yet. In this video, I'll walk you through the 6 workflows that I'd practice first, the prompts I'd use, and how this can turn you into the person that your team goes to when they have AI questions. Hey, I'm Brian, I work at NVIDIA, and we're literally pioneering how AI can be used for corporate non-techies. If you're in finance, HR, sales, biz ops, sales ops, then this video is for you. More specifically, this video is for people who've used ChatGPT or Claude a few times, but still don't have a repeatable way to use it at work. Maybe you've used it to write an email. Maybe you've used it to summarize something. Maybe you got one good answer, you tried the same prompt the next day, you got a really weird answer, then you gave up and started doing it yourself again. Trust me, I've been there. The goal today is to make AI feel less random, and we're gonna do that by building a starter system around 6 tasks: email, meetings, updates, meeting prep, research, and slides. Once you can use AI on those 6, you are going to be light years ahead of a lot of people. And stick around, because I'm giving the exact template for all 6 of these at the end, so you don't have to type all of these prompts in from scratch. The first workflow is email. This is where I'd start because everybody writes email. And trust me when I say a bad email wastes a lot of time. Let's say that I need to tell my manager that a project is delayed. Most people type something like, "Write me an email saying that the dashboard is delayed." That usually gives you a very polished email from someone who's never met your manager and perpetually lives in LinkedIn. Here's the version that I'd use instead. Act like a senior sales operations manager. I need to send a short update to my director about a dashboard project that is delayed by 1 week. The tone should be clear, accountable, and focused on the next step. Include 3 things: what changed, why it changed, and what I'm doing next. Here are my rough notes. And then paste in the notes. Notice what's different. You gave AI a role, a tone, structure, and the raw material. That combination is usually what separates a generic email to one that impresses, but you still want to make sure that you edit this draft. AI is good at getting you to the first usable draft and gets you about maybe 80 to 90% there, but you still need to check the details, cut the weird phrasing, and make it actually sound like a human at your company wrote it. Pro tip, after the first draft, just ask Claude or your AI to make it 30% shorter. That one follow-up typically fixes a lot of AI writing. Workflow 2 is meeting notes. This is one of the easiest places to use AI because most meeting notes look like they were taken out of a mild emergency. Need follow-up with finance. Dashboard delayed. Samantha owns data cleanup. Risk around timing. Check with ops. Customer asked about Q4 rollout. Paste all of that in and say, turn these meeting notes into a clean summary. Use this format: bottom line, key decisions, action items, owners, deadlines, and open questions. If an owner or a deadline is missing, just mark it as missing instead of making one up. That last line matters a lot more than it looks. AI will often fill the gaps because it wants to be helpful, also known as hallucinate. It's a cute quality in a friend, but very risky when putting it in a work summary. AI is good at taking messy input and turning it into a structured output. Anytime you have messy notes, scattered thoughts, or a half-finished doc, that's a great place to use AI. Pro tip is, if you don't want to take notes, a lot of recording tools like Teams or Slack have built-in transcribers nowadays. So after your meeting, you can literally just take that meeting transcription and put it into AI, and it'll give you a clean summary. Workflow 3 is weekly updates. This is where AI starts feeling like a real system instead of some party trick. A lot of professionals have some kind of version on this. Every Friday or Monday, you need to write a status update to your manager or your team. But your week is scattered across meetings, Slack messages, documents, and notes to yourself like "Ask Jeff thing." Helpful. Future you will definitely know what that means. Here's a workflow. Keep a running note during the week. It can be messy. Something like Monday, finance asked for updated forecast. Tuesday, dashboard bug. Wednesday, sales team asked for a new view. And at the end of the week, just paste it in and say, turn these rough notes into a weekly status update for my manager. Use this structure: bottom line, completed work, current blockers, risks, and next steps. Keep it short. Make it sound like a professional update, not a formal report. Then ask a follow-up that does most of the real work. What would my manager likely ask after reading this? AI might say, your manager may ask who owns the dashboard bug, or when ops will respond, or whether the forecast update affects the timeline. Now your update is better because you can anticipate the questions your manager is going to ask before they ask them. And that's the actual value of using AI to summarize everything. Not the writing itself, but the thinking ahead. Quick pause, if you found that tip helpful, hit that subscribe button. I help corporate non-techies like you become indispensable in this AI era. So if that's you, join the community today. Moving on to workflow 4 is meeting prep. This is one of my favorites because it makes you look so prepared without doing that much more work. Say you have a meeting with a cross-functional partner. Paste in the agenda, the last email thread, and some rough context and say, help me prepare for this meeting. Give me a short brief with the likely goal of the meeting, the main questions I should be ready for, risks or concerns that might show up, and 3 points I should make. And add your role. I'm the sales operations analyst supporting this project. I need to be ready to speak clearly about timeline, data quality, and next steps. That helps AI prep the actual meeting notes around your job, not some generic position. A lot of meeting stress comes from unclear thinking. Like, you kind of know what the meeting's about, but you haven't really organized your thoughts yet. AI gives you that starting brief to react to build off of, and something to reference during the call. That's usually better than starting your 3 p.m. meeting at 2:59 with nothing to go off of. A pro tip: ask, what questions do I hope no one asks? That's gonna help identify all of the weak spots going into the meeting. Answer those before the meeting and you're gonna go in a whole lot more prepared. Moving on to number 5 is research. This is the one that a lot of people skip because it feels less obviously AI. Say you're deciding between 2 vendors, 2 approaches, or 2 ways to frame a proposal. Instead of researching each one separately and trying to compare them fairly, try, I'm deciding between option A and option B for a goal. Give me a side-by-side comparison covering cost, risk, implementation time, and long-term maintenance. Then tell me what you need to know from me to make a real recommendation instead of a generic one. That last sentence matters again because it pushes the AI to ask instead of assume. And that's going to reduce the rate of hallucination, which is where the useful answer actually starts. This is also the workflow that you want to use when you want AI to pressure test your thinking. Here's my plan. What's the strongest argument against this? That single question catches more blind spots than most people do on their own. And finally, workflow 6, and probably my favorite, is slides. This is where people waste the most amount of time because creating slides is a very tedious activity. Imagine trying to drag a text box 6 pixels to the left while adjusting a larger text box to stack in front of it. It can get very tedious very fast, and you multiply that by like a dozen slides and you're like, oh my god, where did my day go? So before you build the slides, you need to start with the story. I need to create a 6-slide presentation for leadership about a topic. The goal is to explain the current situation, the problem, the options, my recommendation, and the next step. Give me a slide-by-slide outline with 1 main message per slide. Then, make the slide titles sound like conclusions, not labels. That's a small detail, but a huge difference. A weak title slide says timeline. A better one says, the launch is at risk unless data cleanup is finished by Friday. That second title tells the audience immediately what the takeaway is without them having to guess. Once you have the outline, just ask, what data or proof would I need for each slide? Now you have the entire story, the structure, and the evidence checklist before you've even touched PowerPoint. How amazing is that? You want to think first and then build second. Your future self will thank you when you're not dragging boxes 10 pixels to the right at 11:47 p.m. wondering why slide number 4 hates you. And that's all 6 workflows. After you've practiced using these 6 workflows and it becomes a part of your day-to-day, share it. Start sharing it with other people. Keep it casual, like, hey, I just tried this prompt to turn messy meeting notes into action items. It worked pretty well for me. Do you want me to send it over? Or, I used AI to prep for this meeting. It gave me a few questions we should probably answer before we go in. And that's how it all starts. You don't need to announce to the world that you're an AI expert. You just become the person with useful workflows. People remember that. And once people come to you for help, you get more chances to lead, better projects, and more visibility. However, there are 2 common mistakes that you need to make sure you avoid. Number 1 is don't paste sensitive company data into tools that your company hasn't approved. Make sure to use approved tools and follow your company's policies. And when in doubt, take out all of the PII, personal identified information, such as phone number, name, financial data. anything confidential before you paste it in. And number 2, don't trust the output without checking it. AI is very good at sounding confident, but a lot of times it can still be wrong. Treat the answer like a first draft from a really smart intern. Fast, useful, and occasionally making something up with the confidence of a TED talker. So let's recap, right? If I were starting from zero at work with AI, I would focus on these 6 things: email, meetings, weekly updates, meeting prep, research, and slides. They're boring, but that's why they work, because they show up every week, every day. And if you can make those tasks easier, not just for yourself, but for other people, they're gonna feel the difference, and they're gonna tell all of their peers in their team about how you helped them with AI. And pretty much everyone's gonna start coming to you because all of a sudden you're now the AI expert. That sounds very worth it to me. So start with one workflow this week, use it 3 times, then move on to the next. Do it 3 times and repeat. And lastly, I put together an AI professional starter kit with all of the workflows and prompts from this video. If you want it, just go ahead and click the link in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.